I'm going to read something from Road Trip to the Living Dead, and we'll see what you think of it. Particularly because there seem to be a lot of people who had only read the first one or who hadn't read either of the books. So this is kind of what you're getting into. Zombie sex and all. Zombie fucking. That's what we're getting at. Let's see. I'm going to start sort of midway through because it'll take too long and I'll never get it up on YouTube. I mean, I'll get it up on YouTube. But that's later, and that's marked. Those are marked private. Don't, you know. I slid my hand into his and led him to the dented Winnebago, looking around to make sure the others wouldn't make a quick return to catch us at it. I left the lights off. No sense in worrying about gray mottled skin tones ruining the mood, or worse, reminding my suitor that he'd be experiencing the joys of a taboo. I've tried to avoid the necrophilia commentary. No one wants to get the image of some greasy perv hitting it with a corpse on a mausoleum slab. I know I don't. But I'm different, right? Right? As it was, the light through the window cast a shade of pink across my pale flesh that was quite attractive, if I do say. He spun me around, lifted me onto the counter, and spread my legs with his hips. I clawed at the buttons of his shirt, caught hold of the yokes, and tore. A button fired off the fabric and pegged me in the eye. Sexy, right? I rubbed at it and decided to spare him the indignity of tending to my own shirt. You look so hot in this light. His breath curled hot around the shell of my ear. The scent of meat rose off him, nearly sending me into that manic zombie feeding frenzy I needed to break away. I know, right? I pushed him back to shake off the tendency. Focus and admire the light dusting of golden fur on his pecs, the trail leading south over the hills and valleys of his taut abdomen. I ran my fingers through around the tracks of his nipples, coaxing them to points. His body erupted into a shudder, heat rising to his flesh again. He inhaled, exhaled, struggled to keep the beast inside. That's not a penis reference, by the way. He's, that's something else. I scooted off the counter and slid down his body, lightly teasing his chest with kisses, flicking my tongue. And that's what it's like around here whenever there's romance. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. Trailing it down his stomach until I was in the promissory position, head to hip. And on that note, a quick word on dick. Chest hair trimming usually means that you're not going to come face to face with a big 70s bush, which is entirely unacceptable. No one, and by no one I'm talking about me, wants to unzip a guy and come face to face with Barbra Streisand in A Star is Born. You get me? Of course, there is the issue of finding no patch at all. I don't know about you, but 12-year-old boys aren't sexy no matter what your neighbor's pregnant daughter says. As for the big reveal, I'm concerned with two things and two things only. One, that I'm not dealing with a micropenis. Seriously, it's going to take more than the eraser head of a pencil to get me off. I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm pretty sure that's a medical condition. Men, please consult your physician. Two, that the sheep's been sheared. If your wiener's got a hoodie, it's not going anywhere near my mouth, let alone the other two spots. Are we clear? Now, from the bulge in Scott's jeans, I could tell we'd be working with some decent-sized equipment, but you never know about the other concerns until the boxers are down, or briefs, as the case may be. And of course he's huge, because, this is fiction. I slid his jeans down his legs, helped him off with his shoes, but not socks, the trailer floor was too nasty, and ran my hands up the architecture of his legs. The thick cords of muscle flexed under my grip. Scott grinned above me, clearly proud that his message had reached me. I shook my head and went for the business, the head of which was already peeking over the elastic band of his shorts, straining for relief, and without a turtleneck, I might add. With the briefs down, I could finally get a good look. The assessment. A little on the long side of average and veinier than a designer dildo, a trim patch completed the look. You'll note I'm not talking about balls. I just don't care for them. The only sacks I'm interested in have leather handles and Italian labels, thank you. Are you sure? I asked. Sex is a huge trust thing for a woman, but a blowjob from a zombie has to be the biggest act of trust ever. He nodded eagerly. I was fairly certain I wasn't going to chew off his dick, so I went down on him. Scott closed his eyes and let out a low moan as I toyed with his manhood, rocking it across my tongue, the insides of my cheeks. That's when I heard the first clue of what I was in for. "Oh yeah," he said. "Suck it. Suck that big dick." I should have stopped right there. And I did pause. Nothing is more distracting than porno talk. It's laughable in the movies, but when you hear it in real life, it's just weird. Much like hearing that. But I didn't stop. I kept going. In fact, I even took off my bra while I blew him. I didn't stop. I kept going. In fact, I even took off my bra while I blew him. Quite a feat, considering I was in a squat rather than on my knees. Did I mention the floor? Rather than wrap it up with a quick summation like I'd normally do, let's stay with this, play it out. I'm gonna need some advice when it's over anyway. Scott guided me up by the shoulder, wrapping me in a tight embrace and pressed his lips into mine. His fingers dug in the band of my panties, pushing them down and searching my folds, exploring. His eyes were red with passion or transformation, one or the other, but they locked on mine as he whispered, "You want it, baby? You want it deep inside you?" I did, yes. However, to say so might reinforce his potty mouth. In the end, I just let him guess, and it didn't take him long to make a decision. His cock slipped between my lips, the tip gliding against my engorging clit. He tried to open me up with his other hand, withdrew from the arid hole, and unperturbed spat into his palm, greased up his dick and tucked it inside me in a graceful, fluid movement. No lubrication pun intended. He started thrusting, deeper, grinding his hips against me. He lifted my thighs, forcing me back into the corner. I met each push with a lift of my pelvis, rising up, forcing him further inside of me. You feel that?" he asked, teeth chattering between the words, canines longer and thicker than before. Yeah, of course, Yeah, that's me fucking you, baby." He cut me off, lifting my knees higher, directing his cock like an orchestra. "Fucking you wide open, getting in there good." "Okay." The talking was really turning me off, and I was almost there. Something had to be done. "Am I hitting your spot? I mean, really hitting it right?" Enough with the porno talk, I decided. I pressed my hand across his mouth. He mumbled into my palm. "Just fuck me," I said. He did, and for the first time since I died, I had an orgasm. The muted throbbing from our rhythm gave way to a rolling shudder so intense that I curled over and screamed, heaved an unconscious lungful of the breath from my mouth. It scrolled through the air, tendrils seeking the warm dampness of human lungs, Scott's lungs. I pinched off his nose and sucked as much as I could of the virus back in. The rest would need some time to dissipate. My little porn star was going to have to hold out for air. His thrust became more fervent. His fiery eyes widened and his breath blazed against my hand. He seemed to be enjoying the experience a bit too much. When he did come, his body convulsed, as though a grand mal seizure was passing through it. He shook and his jaw slackened. He slid out of me and onto the floor unconscious. I prodded him with my toe, fearing that I'd been too slow in shielding him from the breath and half expecting him to turn zombie on the spot. And then I realized what I'd done. I remembered the kid on the news that died strangling himself for a high when he masturbated. I thought of the lead singer of that band, rumored to have done the same. Erotic asphyxiation. That's what I'd done to Scott, and the freak had truly gotten off on it. But I'm pretty sure that wasn't on the books as a method to kill a werewolf. Whoa, what was that? He twisted on the floor. Writhed might be a better word. It wasn't at all sexy as chunks of filthy moss stuck to his naked skin, and with each roll across the disgusting carpet. His socks were similarly spotted and streaked. All he needed was a frame and an art critic. "Oh God, are you okay?" I reached down and helped him to his feet, settling him into the booth before hunting down my underwear. "Are you kidding? That was awesome." "Awesome? Are you nuts? Do you even know what happened?" "Sure, we made love and..." "Made love? That's debatable. Let's just call it sex, shall we?" "Fine, we had great sex. Risky sex, sure, because of the whole zombie werewolf thing. But when you pulled your little kink move at the end, God, it was awesome. Now, I'm your slave, baby." He reached for my hand, trying to pull me into his lap. I swatted him away. "Ew, no, you're super gross from being on that floor, and it wasn't a move. I was trying to save you from my breath." "It didn't smell too bad," he said. My mouth dropped open, purely instinctual response to the stupidity of the male animal. Did he just say my breath stunk? "You can shut up any time now." I turned away from him and slipped on my panties, just as the camper door swung open, revealing 4 shocked faces. It was really a crapshoot as to which was more horrified, Wendy or Honey. Gil simply covered his mouth and chuckled, while Fishhook openly drooled. It's not enough that I'm clearly a kinky pervert. Now I have to be a slut, too. The evening had been nothing short of magical. "You should probably put your bra on," Wendy said. "There's been another murder." "Of course." That's it. Want to talk? Want to chat more? I'll be here.